Hey YouTube, this is AR-15 guy. Um, just want to talk about some stuff that I've come across lately. Some of my friends have expressed the want to go ahead and purchase a firearm and maybe get their concealed carry, and kind of the process that I'm trying to kind of lead them through as they're making those decisions. So I'm going to kind of make this as a video as to kind of what things to look at, what decisions go into purchasing a firearm, and depending on the different uses for it, so to speak. So the first thing you need to do when you're making a decision that, all right, I would like to bring a firearm into my home, is it going to be for fun? Is it just going to go out and shoot it up and have some fun with it? Or is it going to be for personal protection or home protection? Not to say that those can't be, those can't be together, but the direction that you're wanting to go does kind of decide what firearm is going to best suit you for that decision. If you're going to go towards just having fun, go out shooting, and that sort of thing, not really concerned about protection or personal protection, then maybe getting like a 22. You can get them in pistol, you can get them in long rifle, you can get them in semi-auto, you can get them in bolt action. There's so many options there, and the ammo's cheap. You can shoot all day and not have only be out a few bucks. So that's kind of part of it. And then the other side of it is if you want home protection. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a 22 for home protection. To be honest, if I was looking down the barrel of any gun, I'm probably gonna wet myself. So I don't want to say that you can't have a 22 for home protection, because that's false. You can. It's not what I would pick for home protection. That's not kind of the mindset that I would go. Not to say that, if you're mainly buying it for shooting, and somebody breaks into your house, that you can't grab that as a line of defense, because that's not the case. You can. Absolutely can. But if you're buying it more towards the mindset of home protection, then you're going to be buying a firearm that maybe is a little bit bigger caliber, that packs more of a punch, that maybe has some optics on it, a flashlight, has the ability to accessorize, and make it more geared towards what your ultimate goal for it is. My home protection is a 12 gauge shotgun. I do have an AR. Both of them are viable options for that 12 gauge shotgun. A lot of videos say that you should keep one in the chamber. Personally, I live in a 2-story house. I feel that if you put one in the chamber, there's not any benefit to having one in the chamber, because by the time somebody kicks in my door, I'm going to be awake. I'm going to be able to grab it. I'm going to be able to rack it, make a loud noise, hopefully deter them from coming to the second floor. And if not, I'm going to be ready to go. So that's the reason I chose a shotgun. Some people, prefer the AR because they can put a red dot sight on it. It's quieter. It's more maneuverable to an extent, and it just works better for their preference. So you need to kind of weigh those out, decide which way you're going to go. Is it going to be home protection, or is it going to be for fun? Not to say that shooting an AR or shotgun isn't fun. It is. It's a blast. Just a little bit more expensive. The other thought in that is, so you decide to go to the protection line. Is it going to be something that you want to be able to carry with you for like a concealed carry situation. If you decide to go with a concealed carry situation, you're going to be going with a handgun. You can use it as home protection. You can even purchase a large handgun for home protection that might not be carryable, but would do the job for home protection. If you decide that you want to get something that's going to be concealed carry, then you open up another door of options. You have revolvers, you have semi-automatics, you have different makes and models of revolvers and calibers, you have different makes and models and calibers of semi-automatics. My suggestion to you would be to shoot a little bit of both prior to making the decision on which way you're going to go. You're never necessarily going to be 100%, but you're going to have a pretty good idea. The more you shoot the varieties, you're going to have a pretty good idea. You know what, I feel more comfortable with a revolver. You know what, I feel more comfortable with a semi-auto. Whether because you can carry more rounds in a semi-auto, or whether it's because it's double action, it has a visible hammer, it's less likely to jam like a revolver. There are some revolvers that are hammerless. So all those considerations, at some point you're going to be able to narrow it down. Then once you narrow it down, then it becomes a caliber. What caliber am I going to take up in all of these? Do I want something that packs a big punch, but I may not be able to fit as many rounds? Like in a semi-automatic, if you go with like a 45 ACP, you're not going to be able to carry as many rounds as you would be able to in the same size of gun in a 9mm. Excuse me. And with a revolver, the same can be true. There are 5 and 6 shot revolvers, depending on the size. That can play some factor into it. So you'll want to definitely shop around and see. And then kind of the second thing is once you've decided, okay, I like semi-auto, or I like revolver, then it's deciding which gun to go with, what your price point is, and with that, how are you going to carry it. Make sure that when you decide on a firearm that it has options for holsters. You don't want to buy a firearm and be stuck to one option. Usually there are going to be multiple options, but if the firearm's a new enough firearm, it may only have one option. When I purchased a firearm solely for the means of concealed carry, and I went shopping for holsters, and nobody made holsters for it yet. It was too new of a gun. It took about a month to 2 months before I finally got a holster that I could use for concealed carry. So you definitely want to take that into consideration. Holsters are like underwear. It's completely personal. What fits for you may not fit for your buddy down the street. What fits for your dad may not work for you. So you want to try them out. Find out what's comfortable. What style holster in the waistband, out the waistband, small of your back, all the different options. And then once you've decided on which way to go as far as holsters, and you've decided on your carry gun, then the next step is making sure you become proficient with it. That means going to the range 2 to 3 times a month, taking classes on how to tear down your gun, clean your gun, how to use your gun in a defensive situation, how to make sure that you are able to clear any malfunctions that the gun may have. Just being able to know your gun 100%, knowing what rounds to use, what rounds work good for concealed carry, what rounds work for just shooting. All of those are things that you need to take into consideration and are very important when you're making those decisions. So once you've decided, okay, this is how I'm going to carry, and you've taken your courses, and you found a place to go shoot on a regular basis, making sure that you budget for those shooting, for that shooting time. You don't want to be stuck not being able to have the money to go and get your practice in. When a few years ago, I was unable to go shooting on a regular basis, and so I quit carrying because I was not secure in the fact that I could hit what I was aiming at, because I hadn't been to the club. I hadn't put rounds down range for so long. And it would just so happens that in that time that I went from being right eye dominant to left eye dominant. So I shoot right-handed, but I'm left eye dominant, and that has become a big barrier, and I'm still working through that even now. So after you've decided what you're going to use your firearm for, what type of firearm you're going to get, what caliber, how you're going to carry it, getting trained on it. The next thing is, once you bring it into your home, how are you going to secure it? How are you going to store it when you don't have it on you, or when you're not in need of it? Are you going to get a big safe because you plan on having multiple firearms down the line? Are you going to get a small safe just to handle the one firearm? Are you even going to bother with a safe? Those are all things that you need to think of. If you're a single guy living in an apartment by yourself, you may not need a safe. Maybe throwing it in a drawer with a lock on it is good enough to keep it out of the wrong hands. Keep any kids that you may have coming in for whatever reason, nieces and nephews, or whatever the case may be. The other part of it is making sure that you have access to it when you need it. So for me, I have a large safe. Every night before I go to bed, I go get my handgun, I put it on my nightstand, and I leave my safe unlocked. So that way all I have to do is jump over the bed, grab my shotgun if there was something to happen. So with all of that, you definitely want to make sure that you're taking and being honest with yourself about it. You don't want to just knee-jerk reaction. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I just want you to be able to make an educated decision on what you're going to do, what you're going to carry. Know that it takes some thought. It's not as simple as buying a brush, hairbrush. There's more to it than that. And comfort, making sure that if you are picking a concealed carry gun, that it's comfortable to carry. If it's not comfortable, whether it's semi-automatic or whether it's a revolver, you're not going to carry it. So make sure that it's comfortable for you, both comfortable in a holster that you carry, as well as comfortable mentally. And when you are initially making the purchase of a firearm, especially if it's for self-defense, you need to make sure that you're in the mindset that if somebody forces you to have to use that for what you're intending, that you're able to do so. And that means that if somebody is causing to do you or your family harm, that you can pull that and pull the trigger and not think twice about it. Because it can become more dangerous for you if you are not sure that that's something that you could do. And so that's a definite thought as well. If you get to the gun store and you're ready to buy and you just like, man, I don't know that I can do this, there's no shame in that. There are other options out there that are less lethal, and maybe considered less dangerous for you. It's definitely a personal preference, but definitely make sure that is something that you think about. So those are the things that I wanted to go over before purchasing a firearm. What things you should think about, how you're going to use it, what's its exact intended purpose. Is it going to be only for home protection, or is it going to be a concealed carry situation, and all the steps that it takes to get through that initial purchase period, and making sure you're planning for the future, making sure that you stay proficient, that you know your firearm, that you know the ins and outs of it, so that way not only does it make you feel more comfortable and more safe, it makes you more safe. So those are my thoughts. If you have any suggestions or anything that maybe I missed, definitely chime in there, leave comments, personal message me, let me know. But that's the way I look at it, and I hope this was useful.